Content disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in the media or comments on this channel are those of the speakers or authors and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by this channel's broadcaster. Due to the social nature of this broadcasting channel, videos may contain content copyrighted by another entity or person. This channel's owner claims no copyright to said content. The broadcaster of this channel cannot be held accountable for the copyrighted content. The broadcaster of this channel is a messenger and sharer of information and strives to verify, but cannot warrant the accuracy of copyrights or completeness of the information on this channel. If you have a complaint about something or find your content is being used incorrectly, please contact the broadcaster prior to making a copyright claim. Any infringement was not done on purpose and will be rectified to all parties' satisfaction. Thank you.
Hello there and welcome to the first ever Inazuma podcast where a bunch of us diehard Inazuma fans talk about fantasy football. My name is Noah and I'll be your host for today, and I have some people joining me. First off, Lost, introduce yourself.
Right, so my name is Lost, my actual name is Gavin, and I will be represented with Fubukishiro. It's nice to meet you all. I've been a pretty big Inazuma fan since like 2011. My favorite characters are the Fubuki brothers.
Alright, next up, Ollie.
Hey there, my name is Lakki, or Oliver, and will be represented by Nausicaa Yuma in the layout right now. My favorite characters are Nausicaa and Kido, and I've also been an Inazuma fan for years, and I'm glad to be here.
Alright, and then last up for today we have Vic. Introduce yourself.
I'm Vic, and I'll be represented by Afrodi on the character screen, and Canada isn't real.
Alright, so before we go into the podcast, we have a quick disclaimer. If you are not up to date with the current anime series Orion no Kokuin, there will be spoilers in this podcast, so listen at your own risk. Anyway, let's not waste any more time and start talking about today's general subject, which is the ending of the series. So recently, about a month ago, the show ended, and now all of us Inazuma fans are of course talking about it, and yeah, we would like to start by voicing our own opinions. Lost, you've been quite bamboozled by the ending, I believe, of this series. Can you give your opinion on that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I expected more out of it, but it was a pretty good ending for the series. It was a bit rushed, but most characters were pretty well done. The new moves were really good, and I'm pretty positive.
Yeah, I would say the same, basically. I believe that we would touch on this later as well, where we're going to go a bit more into detail about what could have happened, but I think me and you kind of agree on that, where the Hisatsus were suddenly all popping out. There was all this stuff going on in just 2-3 episodes, where some other stuff just took 2 to even breathe in a single match.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your opinion on it, Ollie? Because I heard you also really were kind of disappointed by it, or is that just me?
I wasn't all that disappointed. I liked the last 2 episodes. My biggest problem was probably episode 47, because it wasn't needed in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I feel like Orion's biggest problem was that it was set up for much more. I mean, it was originally planned to be the longest series, and in the end, it wasn't. So that was the biggest problem, I think, because it had a lot less screen time in the end than what it was planned for. Like, it was a lot of wasted potential.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that. Maybe Vic, if you have anything to add to this currently.
I'm pretty much with Ollie. I'd say it's like one of the weaker endings of the series, sort of rivaling Go 1 for me.
Yeah, because basically if we go through the whole of Orion, which is this podcast basically, it started out pretty rough in my opinion, where you had this team of probably people that barely knew each other even. And then they were just told, so here, go work with each other. And the single personalities like Haizaki and Kira at first were an amazing view, but how they developed over the show, what's your opinion on that, Lost?
Well, that's probably my biggest complaint. Like, some characters became just irrelevant, like Noboru, even Fubuki. Like, he could have done so much more. But the characters they went deeper with, I'm pretty positive about, especially Haizaki. He got what he deserved, and yeah, I'm happy with what they did.
Yeah, Fubuki was in the end a big part of the unsolving mysteries around the Orion organization in the end. Did you like that specifically as a Fubuki fanboy, if I may say?
Well, not at all. Like, I really wanted the brothers to just play and do Hisatsus and just be together. Like, that's what I really wanted. So I'm a bit negative, I guess. Like, I wanted more, but what we got was, it was okay, I guess.
Yeah, I see. Ollie, do you have any of the characters from which you thought would develop really well from the Ares show or new in the Orion show and just kind of failed to actually represent themselves in the show?
Yes, Mitsukamiya, I feel like is the biggest example of that, because and Nishikage, but more so Mitsukamiya, because I did expect a lot from him. He was very popular. He had a great design, had a great setup in the manga with his backstory. And then he joined 10 episodes before the end and never did all that much. He got 2 new Hisatsus, which is something, but he never had anything outstanding, not even a new single Hisatsu. And obviously, Nishikage also was very wasted. I feel like he could have been one of the best keepers in all of Inazuma, probably, with his story with Nausicaa and all of that, but he never really got the screen time for that.
Yeah.
And also, you mentioned the beginning. I personally liked the beginning, but I do agree with your criticism that they barely knew each other. And that reminded me a lot of Galaxy, but I feel like in Galaxy it was done a lot better because they didn't really like each other. And we saw them develop into that friendship.
Yeah, that's one of the things I kind of felt like was lacking as well. And to come back on the Hisatsus as well, for example for Mizukamiya and also for Nishikage, where we basically saw a Hisatsu come out of nowhere, but for example the Nishikage, the dimensional Hisatsu in the ending of the show, that was completely unexpected. I don't know if Vic wants to tell some more about that, but in my opinion that was a shock.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. One character that I find didn't get enough screen time, honestly, Saganuma.
Yeah, I can
agree.
see why.
Yeah.
Which was good.
Dude got
because fuck it.
0 new Hisatsus in the entire series. And he was around from the very beginning and just didn't do anything despite getting a position change too.
Although fair enough, that's also true for Mansaku because he never got a new Hisatsu as well, but unlike Saginuma, he wasn't set up with the position change. I mean, obviously who knows me, I like all the ones that know me know that I agree with your statement, because I also was a bit sad that Saginuma never got anything and he got a lot of hate, so yeah, that was pretty wasted potential.
Yeah, also seeing how he acted in Ares also brought a lot of bad attention towards Saginuma. People were really hesitant about him. And then the animators just kind of dropped him as a character and just used him more as comedic relief and plot armor for the Ashura.
Except he didn't even really do the comic relief all that well because he barely got any lines.
That is also very true. But going into, for example, Nishikage and Nausicaa, I think Ollie, you might want to clarify this a little bit more, because I think those two really were wasted potential the more the show continued.
Yeah, not just those two, but also Anna, I feel like was a big part of it, because we had this love triangle set up in Aros, with Anna being in love with Nausicaa, Nishikage being strongly implied to be in love with Nausicaa, and Nausicaa rejecting Anna for now. He even said that, and never really talking with Nishikage about it, but probably knowing about it. And I feel like that was a very wasted opinion, because we could have had some actual really modern topics, like LGBT relationships are a really current topic, and if they had addressed that well and not just forgotten about it, would have been really cool, I think.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. it's one of those things where it's probably also for the studios, like they could be hesitant about that stuff, but I think it's a great opportunity to just display the possibilities in those shows. Like we've been in these borderlines for a very long time now, where people are afraid to do certain things that might upset their community and make them flop, while in reality I think it will be well received.
Yeah, I feel like a positive example of that was Irina, because she came in very late as a villain, but she had an insanely good introduction with her just slapping Shinjo and breaking Burnout mentally. And like from what I've heard, at least in the German community, she's very popular. Like a lot of people like her as the villain. And I feel like she was a risk done well, while others weren't really.
Yeah,
To
that
add on to that, real quick, the one thing that I wish she got was just more screen time of her being menacing and just overall terror.
yeah, it's what I just wanted to get into, the antagonists of this show, basically the whole Orion organization, to kind of flow into that. Like for example, we didn't know that the wife of the original father of Roy was actually in the show until very later on. What's your opinion on that?
Personally, I saw it coming really early on, like when we got the flashback for Froy and Bernard about Valentine's, yeah, that's what's the name, his death, because we did see their mother, but only from behind, never the face. So I think like, maybe she's evil. But in general, I liked Orion's antagonist. Gustav, well, he existed. He didn't do all that much, but he was menacing enough for Ichihashi, I guess. Ichihashi, when he was evil, was great. The minor Orion villains like Bike and Saturn were great. I love them. They were really well done for one-time villains. And Bernard, Froy, if he counts, Shinjo, if he counts, and Irena were all really well done, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the whole Orion organization, and they kind of take something from the Seeds, but not really, because most people were referring to them as just a copy of Seeds from Go. But I think they actually did a pretty good job, because it wasn't just being for a higher power. Orion was actually a good organization, where I believe Seeds were from the start. The whole organization behind that was already corrupt, where this came at a way later time, making them really question. I don't know if Lost has to add anything on that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, I can see the resemblance, but they're way different, and I think they're done very well, besides a few characters.
Such as?
Yeah. Such as the whole America team.
I can see that.
Some of the Brazilian people, and yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit mixed on them. Like, they did some things very well, and others were
I mean, to be fair, for Brazil, the only one really important was Arthur, and he was pretty good in my opinion. I really like Arthur, and like there's the small red-haired kid. He kind of, well, he didn't do much, and I don't care about him. And,
yeah, I love the
yeah,
captain, but like the other members around him were a bit iffy.
Yeah, because they didn't do all that much. It was mostly just Arthur, and he was, as I said, I really liked him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, looking at how the Orion organization was set up, they basically took over the entirety of soccer. Me personally, one thing I really missed in this show, which I think is actually a downside of the Orion organization, is that we didn't even have a single game where the teams could play freely, like a full game. We were supposed to get that with France, but then they got, well, Orioned on, let's say it like that.
Didn't that kind of happen with China?
Yeah, China was Orion free.
So was Spain, for the most part.
Spain had only Barja or whatever he's called.
Yeah, but he got dealt with quickly enough to where it didn't really matter.
Yeah, that's true.
That is completely true. I might have missed on that, but yeah, I think later on in the show we could have had at least one battle, maybe even a short one. Didn't even have to be like a full match, but something where you saw the players really free from the chains of Orion and something similar.
Yeah, sort of like the end of season 2 or season 3, where you just have that match against the friends at the end.
Yeah, something similar. Yeah, that would.
Yeah, that's a little complaint I had. I really wanted the Russia match to be the ending, like just them playing, having fun, just your normal Inazuma.
Yeah, I fully agree, and because no one mentioned it, I feel like France especially was a huge wasted opinion because we never even saw Nathan again. He just disappeared. We saw him in one scene, nothing else ever. And I feel like that was a huge problem. They would have probably gotten a match if Orion was longer, but man, that was really infuriating in the end.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. They probably had to rush, and it's really bad. Like, really, really bad.
Yeah, it's quite a shame seeing like the whole plan they had with the show, and then suddenly after 50 episodes it's over. But I kind of want to go on a different topic, more related to your personal opinions. Yes. For example, if we had to pick a moment, this is one of the topics that was requested by everyone. If you had to pick a moment from the show that really grasped you, as we're trying to at least give some positives after all the complaints that we have now, we're going to discuss some of the best moments we've had in the show. Maybe Vic, you can start us off with something that you really enjoyed about this show.
Something that I enjoyed a lot, probably the Hisatsus and the team variety. Like the Hisatsus all looked amazing, at least like later on.
Also,
and the team variety.
Also with the new art style, I heard a lot of controversy about it lacking detail, but what's your opinion on that as well?
It started off very shaky, I feel, but after a while it smoothed out and looked great.
Alright, yeah. Lost, you wanted to add something, I believe.
Well, I love the art style, but it could have been done better. Like, the animations could have been polished, especially like the famous example, Fubuki dodging the kicks from, I believe, Arabia.
Oh yeah, I heard something.
But I gotta say, the Blu-ray clip of that was posted and looked a lot cleaner. Like, it looked actually good there. I feel like it was mostly because it was rushed at the time. Yeah. So, but yeah, I agree that is a really bad example for Orion's early animation.
Yeah, I'll probably add some clips on the screen as well where you can see the quality animation we're talking about here if you're not completely up to date. Showing Fubuki getting sort of, I don't know what he's doing, but it's some form of dance in my opinion. I think
he's dancing.
Yeah, it's a nice dance, Lost. Don't you love dancing?
Yeah, not really. Sorry.
This is a dancing anime, not a soccer anime.
Anyway, but yeah, so for going back to the best moments, like an actual moment, if you had to pick a moment from the show, Ollie, what would it be? What really grasped you in this 50 episode series?
Honestly, I loved the finale of Italy with Last Resort from Kusomaru versus Last Resort Dragon versus Last Resort Sigma. I feel like that was probably the best moment in Orion because it felt like actual Inazuma. Like, I'd say it's one of my favorite moments in all of Inazuma because it was so hype at the time.
Yeah, Last Resort was one of those very over-predicted Hisatsus that just kind of got forgot about after a while, and then suddenly Kozomura came back, of course, and he brought with him Over Cyclone, which we'll get into later. But basically that whole build-up towards finally completing it, and then they just go, you know what? Let's just one-up it with Sigma. I don't know, Lost, you were kind of hyped about that when that happened, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's one of my favorite moments, but definitely not my actual favorite. My actual favorite would be Ichihashi's breakdown and the giant meteor trying to crash into him. Like, the whole story around it was really well done, and they really got the subject of mental health, like the actual disorder. They really went into it well and explained things very clearly.
Yeah,
I was really happy with that.
I remember that I believe it was a cliffhanger, wasn't it? Where at the end of the episode,
Yeah, it was.
we just saw a meteor going on. I believe Ichihashi on his knees, even not knowing what
Yeah,
to do.
and yeah, you're right. It ended with the panicking scream of Asto, who was like Ishihashi, and then it went into the ending music, and that was so well done.
Yeah, about that, the ending music for this show. How are we feeling about that one?
Definitely on the better side.
Yeah, I agree. I'd say the third ending, Ashitaya no Bye Bye, is probably my favorite ending in all of Inazuma. It's absolutely amazing, both visually and like from the song itself. I love it.
Yeah, I kinda had expected less actually, because of the production quality going down a bit and a lot of reused art and music assets. I expected the outro and intro to be less fortunate, I would say. Like they wouldn't get much attention and therefore kind of just be there, but the outros at least very much surprised me. I think, yeah.
Yeah, I agree, honestly, but I didn't think they would be low quality because the opening and ending, especially the opening, is something many people first see, I think, in a lot of cases, and it has to make a good impression. So if they had bad quality on that, I feel like the series would have been judged even harder than it already has been.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. But anyway, back to the good sides, which we've now gotten into. Lost, do you perhaps have a moment you wish to share? Because you said after Ichihoshi, you also had another moment, I believe, which you might have wanted to discuss.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's definitely in the Spain match, the combination Hisatsu of Shiro and Atsuya. Like I really, really wanted them to do something, and that move is just perfect. And the scene where Atsuya confronts Shiro on possibly being a traitor, that really touched me. I mean, you guys saw my reaction. I literally flipped out.
We already know. But also a shame though that we only got to see Hoketsu no Gangni once due to the so-called injury. I don't know if it's an actual injury. Still to this day, I never really knew.
Probably not, but Atsuya did say that it's a forbidden Hisatsu like Kyotei Penguin 1 and Beast Fang, so I can see why they didn't use it again. It made sense story-wise, even though I personally also loved it, so I would have gladly seen it again in the finale.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. It took great inspiration from it kind of reminded me of Wolf Legend and Thunder Beast. They kind of mixed together. I don't know if you want to roast me on that, Lost, but
no, I definitely agree, especially with Wolf Legend.
Yeah, same. Like when it first started on the first time, I was like, oh hey, look, it's Wolf Legend in Orion style.
Yeah. Do you think that's a missed opportunity that they didn't do Wolf Legend itself, or do you think we'll see it back in the games?
I personally really wanted a Wolf Legend, but like them together. Like in the game, that it's discussed that it's actually a combo move, but Shiro can do it because he merged. So I really hoped it was like that.
That's also why I originally thought that Hyuketsu no Gungnir was gonna be Wolf Legend. And I feel like for that reason we might just get Wolf Legend, but we might not because they did have White Double Impact and they did have Hyuketsu no Gungnir.
Yes. Is there anything you would like to see from the Fubuki brothers that you think has been kind of like hidden behind the shadows?
I personally wanted more of their or just their past, I guess. Like what happened instead of the accident, or something similar like that, or how they always play together. And yeah.
Yeah, because we got some narrative back in the original show, seeing Fubuki brothers before the avalanche. I do think indeed that it's a missed opportunity to give new narrative to the two characters.
Yeah, for sure. And I really hoped Shiro would do more when he got scouted by Shinjo. But yeah, we'll get into that later, I guess.
Yeah, to then get back into the topic, for me, for myself, I had quite a hard time actually picking a best moment. But I think what one of my favorite moments was is I think it was actually a funny moment which I really enjoyed. It was the moment where Endo asks Nishikage how to do his arm Hisatsu, and just like out of nowhere he just snaps and he just suddenly has diamond arm. I think that like really stuck with me because of how they executed on the comedic value of Endo for the first time in a really long time. But I have to say, if we go to that Hisatsu though, Diamond Hand itself, what's your opinion on that, guys? Because it's been seen a lot throughout the later end of the show.
I'm a start here, and I feel like most of the community will agree with me when I say that Diamond Hand is not a good Jutsu. It's very unpopular from what I've seen, and it's basic. It doesn't look that great, and Endo had that whole Majin theme going on since Aris. He had Fujin Raijin Ghost, and then the Ashura. And then he just got the Diamond Hisatsus, which weren't all that creative and didn't look too well. I did like Diamond Punch and Arm, but not Hand. Yeah. And the biggest problem was, I think, it really screwed up the power balance in Orion, because we saw Over Cyclone absolutely destroy Russia, and then one episode later it gets stopped by Diamond Hand. And Diamond Hand stopped the Phoenix. At first it didn't stop it, then it stopped it. Same for Karanate Ho once, and it just felt really weird.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you there. In general, Endo was kind of just there to basically protect the plot of the show, and at that point, just during battles. Vic, I know you kind of disliked Endo from the start, just like me, but I think you can better clarify your dissatisfactions with how the keepers have been used during this show.
Yeah, so I think the biggest problem with Endo's Hisatsus in Orion is you never really saw them like developed too much. It's just you just sort of went into the match and boom, suddenly he has a better Hisatsu or a different Hisatsu. Unlike in Original, where you just sort of you see like the trials he has to go through to practice them.
Yeah.
Season 1. Naked Punch. Baccarat Punch. But yeah, he trained a lot for them, I gotta agree.
I mean, those were in the game, though.
Yeah, those weren't even in the game. They weren't in his move pool. And Ichigen the Hand was also a bit of an ass pull. Like, it made sense, it was explained well, Daisuke, but we never really saw him train for Ichigen, I think.
What if I just don't stop the ball? Yeah.
Actually, now that I think about it, I think Ikari no Tetsui also didn't have all that much training before it. Like, it was just, oh hey, Seigi no Teken, G3, G4, G5. Oh, my Seigi no Teken doesn't work from the front. Let's hit it into the ground.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there was a scene where he was like at the tower, punching the rubber tire like from the upside. I'm pretty sure it exists, and that he actually trained for it.
Yeah, we can all say that there's been quite a lot of ass pulls during Orion. Also some logical ass pulls. Looking back at Musukamiya, where I would say Emperor Penguin featuring Shark is like one of those things that they probably could have thought of from the start, but back then Penguin the God and Devil was just taking everybody by storm, so why bother? What's your opinion on that Hisatsu in general?
I think the biggest problem was it was set up when Mitsukamiya joined before Brazil. We had Kazuma, Heizuki, and Mitsukamiya all playing during Brazil, and then the end of Brazil match, it just didn't happen. They just didn't use the Hisatsu, even though it would have been a perfect fit, and that was really annoying to a lot of people.
I can't imagine. In general, Emperor Penguin came kind of from nowhere again. We saw Penguin moves because Haizaki is a big fan of penguins, but I don't think anyone saw Penguin featuring the shark coming. I don't know if Vic has a better explanation for it, but
It just kind of happened, and I liked it.
all right. Anyway, so if we had to rate the teams though, because we kind of have to see how much time we want to spend on the good things of Orion, because the bad things have surely been noted by the entire community by now, and the Reddit will surely follow. But if you had to say what team, either character design wise, you can give your own reasoning for it. What team you think really stood out this tournament? I'll start with you, Lost.
That's a tough one. I guess it would be the Shining Satans, because they did something new. Like the other things we've seen, like we've seen someone from the army, we've seen poor kids getting their dream, but this was really new and unexpected because it is in fact a children's show. So yeah, I really like their whole team, and the fact that it wasn't just a water and ground team like in Galaxy or Season 3.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that one. Ollie, do you have anything to add on that, or do you have your own team that you really want to praise in this show?
Yeah, I agree with Lost. But with the Shining Satans, I think only Satan really stood out to me. The Keeper looked cool and his Susetsu is great. I love Taiyo no Guillotine. But besides that, the team didn't really stand out in my opinion. I personally want to give a shout out to Italy's team. I really like their designs, especially Petronio, but the rest of the team too. Like Gabriella is a female keeper and she's cool. And in general, also the chariot shot guy had a really cool design. Like most of the team had a cool design, and I mean Italy is my favorite team in Orion, so I'm a bit biased, but I really like them.
Bias is fine, we're here to share opinions. Reddit will love it. Don't get flamed later on. Don't blame me as well.
No, your opinion is wrong. Only mine is right.
Vic clearly has a better opinion than Vic. Go ahead.
I'd go with the basic answer and say Spain, because they were always like the imposing ones, and they had a constant presence in like the first half of Orion and almost all of Ares.
The buff boys. Yeah, I can see where you're all coming from. To quickly get back on Italy though, regarding the character design, one thing we're starting to see more is them experimenting with eyes. It's one of the things I noticed with Froy, with Petronio, and some other characters, where the eyes are, I don't know if it's less or more detailed. I don't know if you can explain it a little better, Ollie.
Yeah, I noticed that myself too. Like Nosaka has he just has gray eyes. He doesn't even really have pupils, but it stood out. And there's Haizaki with his red eyes that really made an impression the first time you saw him in an Aris trailer. I think Mitsukamiya also has rather outstanding eyes with his blue. And obviously Petronio's eyes are very unique. And Froy, as you mentioned, that's mostly how we saw that Bernard and Irina were related to him.
Yeah, the whole family kind of had the theme.
Yeah, and also Shinjo's eyes were also rather impressive, and they put a lot of focus on the eyes in a lot of scenes, because eyes do show a lot of emotion, so I can see why they put more detail in a lot of cases into those.
I do also like with Shinjo's design, how you see him develop bags under his eyes between like the past and the present.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Lost, I believe you also wanted to add something.
Yeah, I wanted to add another team. Like, I really, really love the designs of Perfect Spark. Like Malik, Yuri, or whatever he's called. Like, all of these characters look so good.
Probably not even confirmed he or she.
Exactly.
It's safer that way in this series.
It's a trait Inazuma likes to have. I believe there were some memes posted about it all over Reddit.
Also, at that point, I also want to give a shout out to Brazil's team, especially Arthur had an amazing design. I love his hair. I love basically everything about his design, and they were done really well. And also the minor characters looked cool.
He also had really unique eyes. It's a lot of the main characters that got that kind of treatment, which was really nice. Personally, I would also have to go with Brazil as a team, to be honest. I really liked their whole aesthetic, even though it's been done before. They took a new spin on it here. Instead of actually dancing, they also showed like emotion, where the samba, like them screaming samba and actually involving Inazuma Japan as well. That really stood out to me. And Arthur in his dilemma to either follow Bernard or stay. It's been done before, but I think they did a really good job this time. I don't know if
Yeah,
you
and
share that opinion.
yeah, I do. And also, well, the Brazil match was a lot of wasted opportunity, especially in the second episode. I like the direction they went with it, like Japan also starting to cheat. And in general, they were done really well, I think. They had good designs, their stats were great, but they could have been more like most of Orion.
Yeah, I guess you can say that. One of the things that indeed that really stood out was Inazuma Japan playing unfair, or at least for fair standards. I don't know, Lost, I believe you shared in the WhatsApp, you found that quite interesting that we never really saw a bad side until Orion, really, with Haizaki, Kira, Asto even, the main character, doing evil stuff, so to say.
Yeah, I really agree. I really like the whole thing, especially when Atsuya did the sliding, and they were like, "Oh, watch out, this guy's crazy," and it was really unexpected. And especially later on with Italy, when they finally got like, "Oh, we're gonna do Grid Omega," and Asto was like, "No, we won't," and in the end, it got reversed. Like, I really like the bad side, or well, not bad, I guess, but the more aggressive side of Inazuma Japan, and I'm glad they tried it.
Yeah, I think it's one thing that definitely stood out in this series for the first time. I don't think it happened in either of the two other series that we had in OG and Go, where we had a lot of personalities that actually are fierce. Like looking at Kira, Haizaki, Atsuya, even Yuma, even though very patient and silent, also had a really dark side. Ichihoshi was prepared to do a lot. What's your opinion on that, Vic, that this team had so much darkness, I would say, in them?
It's definitely an interesting take compared to your standard, oh, let's be friends, let's be happy, let's play fair sort of deal. Like, you kind of got that with a bit of Galaxy's cast, with some of them being a bit more on the aggressive or like conniving side and usually doing it for the selfish reasons. But like I think it was well executed in Orion.
Yeah, I can see that too. I would say that most of all, Kira and Haizaki, also Atsuya, basically the forwards, they really stepped up I would say the mental game in the teams that they were facing, where they would actually actively provoke, where until now it was seen, for example, Endo would do funny stuff where he would provoke through either funny ways or saying let's just be friends, where the forwards of Inazuma Japan would actually just straight up trash talk.
Since you said that, I gotta agree, Gojen is my favorite Evil Inazuma Japan player. He was so rude to all his opponents, and I love that about him.
Yeah, I can see that too. I don't know, basically Atsuya as well, Lost. What do you think? Atsuya's personality fit the team really well, don't you think?
Yeah, I think he's done very well. Like, it was his normal personality, maybe a bit more, less selfish, but he did great, and I really liked the parts where he was active. And another thing I wanted to add is Gedo. Like, Gedo in the preliminaries was so sick to see. Like him commanding Haizaki and Hirato to destroy Ishihashi. That was so great.
Yeah, oh, oops, my hand slipped. That scene gave me chills.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that earlier for best moment in Orion. That one's definitely high up for me as a Kido fanboy. And it was just so amazing with the ending coming in at that moment. It was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, I think we can generally agree that seeing Inazuma Japan's bad side for once was a really good change for the show, and it really showed us a different perspective on the characters themselves. So now that we are gonna slowly start wrapping up, we had in mind a section where we answer some of you guys' questions from Reddit and from the Discord that we're in. And I'm gonna start off with the obvious one, going back to the bad side of Orion. What's the worst Hisatsu lost? Hit us up. Give me your reasoning.
Well, you already know mine, but the GGG shot. Like, what the hell was that? It was two irrelevant characters. The move looks really bad, in my opinion, of course.
I'm
And it
gonna
just,
fight you on that one.
it just makes me sick. I just hate it, and you guys know it, but
Don't you love the big guy spinning so fast that you can't even see him move? I mean,
yeah.
it was most definitely an interesting approach. It's a shame though, really, because the Hisatsu itself had actual training.
Yeah, that's true. But I just don't like it. Maybe because I hate the entire match, but it's just the worst, in my opinion.
Makes sense. I don't know if anyone agrees on the GGG or maybe Vic, you have another
No.
opinion.
My least favorite, I'm gonna have to go with macaroni spaghetti.
How dare you?
Whoa.
It's too stupid.
How dare
It's just
you?
so stupid.
Macaroni
ab-
spaghetti with extra sauce. The best
exactly.
Hisatsu in Inazuma 11 history.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting that it wasn't an Italy move, in my opinion. That was what caught me the
Yeah.
most.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really strange.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I'm just gonna chime in. My least favorite Hisatsu from Orion is a tie between Firewall, because Firewall is just extremely basic and we only saw it once, and Coronate Ho, the shot from America, if anyone remembers that. Because
I don't know,
that
what are
would
you
just
talking about?
the
Snake
double,
guy.
yeah, Cobra and the other
Yeah,
the double shot.
sorry, I don't remember that character. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't
Yeah,
remember that
that
match.
doesn't exist, but that
Wait, what are we
Hisatsu-
talking about?
In
Wait,
Inazuma
what?
11. Yeah, but that's just the worst Hisatsu in Orion, in my opinion, because it looked bad, it wasn't well balanced, and the characters and match weren't great.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that one. I think for me also, Kurenade Ho was, yeah, it just didn't cut it for me. From an army team, they had so many possibilities. In the past, I think they also didn't deliver on an army actual. Although I like the tactics, we're gonna call them tactics because they're apparently tactics, but the minefield tactics that Inazuma Japan at a later date also used. I really like that, but the Hisatsu Kurenado just didn't cut it for me.
Yeah, I agree. Jiragen was the Hisatsu tactic with the bombs, was pretty cool. And the keeper technique, I think it was Gunji Ace Phobos, I think, was really cool in
Yeah.
my opinion. That was well done, especially with how it basically killed all of Star Unicorn the first time it was used.
Yeah, I would actually, as an Alia Academy fan, it's a Hisatsu I actually expected from Saginuma as well, something similar. I thought maybe in later matches he would kind of pick up on that show, since we saw that they took tactics and other ideas from other teams. I thought maybe something like that could actually come back to the show, but we all
but that
know.
requires Saganuma. That requires Saganuma doing anything.
What's the Saginuma?
I see we've come to the point of irrelevant characters. Let's just move on. Vic, hit me up with your favorite Hisatsu from Orion. It's another question here.
Since we've already talked about Last Resort and Overcyclone, I'm gonna go with like a smaller Hisatsu and say Time Trance, I think it's called. The one that Satan used.
Yeah, Satan used time trance. The shot you mean, right?
Yeah. Since I love the whole time theme with it.
How did you like Endo stopping it by seeing dumb balls?
Don't speak to me.
Yeah, I think we can all agree. Fujin Raijin Ghost was yet again a very endo Hisatsu, where it's just he has such a massive brain that he can fart out this nonsense, having I believe 6 hands in the end for 1 ball. How does that make you feel, Lost?
Out of context.
Well, it's endo. Like, I didn't expect anything else, but it's one of my favorite moves of him, so I'm okay with it.
I can see.
Fujin Raijin Ghost is probably in my top 3 keeper moves of all time. It looks really good. I love the colors, but it was a bit of an assball.
Yeah, I think we can agree on that. I believe it's just a shame that we didn't see a lot of the other Inazuma keepers, because we could have had a lot more potential, maybe at cost of Endo and Diamond Hand.
Gender.
Who?
I
I hear a relevant character without any personality who is somewhat popular. Who?
No. We weren't talking about
Saganuma.
Saganuma.
I mean,
I think you're talking about the character whose only feat is stopping Fire Tornado in Aris, which Brainwashing's keeper also did, and he isn't even memorable.
Well, I believe Saganuma didn't even stop Fire Tornado, but
He stopped it twice, and he's the only one to
really?
stop Shining Bird.
okay, we got it.
Okay, Ollie, as we already know, Lost's probably Hogetsu no Gungnir as his favorite Hisatsu, and he's already explained why. What would you say is
Well,
your
actually,
Oh?
I'm not butt in here, and I have 2 favorite moves. Like, obviously, Yukatsu no Gungnir is one of them, but Spinning Fence. Can we talk about Spinning Fence?
I don't know, can we? Ollie, can you follow up on that?
While I do like Spinning Fence, it's far from my favorite set, so it's great. It's fitting for Kazumaru, he finally gets the defense moves, but it's not all that special for me. When it comes to like actual favorite Satsu, I mentioned for the bigger ones, Over Cyclone was amazing, and I really like Fire Lemonade Rising personally. And besides that, I'd also mention Carnival Shake. I really like Carnival Shake. I'm sad it kind of got stopped in a very basic manner. And also Blue Stardust is probably the most visually pleasing dribble move we've ever had.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Blue Stardust was visually the whole theme around Ichihoshi's move, seeing Blue Stardust, and in the latest episode, I forgot the name. I've only seen the episode once. Maybe someone can help me with that one.
I think it's called Planet Break.
Yeah, Planet Break. The blue patterns really added something we've never really seen before in a Hisatsu. This very, I would say it's almost sci-fi related. But to kind of go from Ichihoshi, I think together with Ichihoshi, what I would say is probably my favorite Hisatsu. At first, I also had Blue Stardust as one of my favorite dribbles, but after a while of not seeing it, I kind of lost track of it, and I think what I would say is my favorite Hisatsus. I'm gonna be basic as hell here, and that's Penguin, the God and Devil. Because I really loved the interactions Haizaki and Kira Hiroto had in the start of the show. They had this really niche, I would say, double tsundere. I didn't think it was possible, but it was most definitely possible. I believe you at first also really liked Penguin, the God and Devil, Ollie.
Yes, I did. Like, before we started the podcast, I was thinking, what is my favorite Satsu? And I was like, the first thing that came to mind was Penguin, the God and Devil. Although when I thought about it more, I remembered Fire Lemonade Rising and especially Over Cyclone. So, yeah, but Penguin, the God and Devil is amazing, and like Haizaki and Kira really carried early Orion with their interactions.
Yeah, we can most certainly agree on that. I don't know how many times we saw that. We should probably get a stat on that to see how many times Penguin, the God and Devil was used in the end.
At least 5 times.
Honestly, I don't even think it was used that much, but I remember like when it scored in Uzbekistan which was the second time it was used, like, or third time if you count the one in Korea. a lot of people complained about it being too OP, and I honestly didn't see that. Like, do people forget Tiger Storm, which didn't get stopped once in season 3? It stopped.
Meanwhile, Shining Bird.
Yeah, and Shining Bird and Fire Tornado and Aris. Penguin the God and Devil wasn't used all that much and wasn't all that overpowered in my opinion. It got stopped in China, and that was fine in my opinion.
The mighty finger gun of Asto. Unstoppable as well. Anyway, I have one final question here as we're approaching the 1 hour mark. It's basically 2 questions binded together, which is what do you think is a big missed opportunity the Orion anime had, and you can probably link that to what you probably would have changed or done differently if you were in charge of the show. I think Fake, you had a quite defined opinion on this.
I'd say we honestly should have gotten a lot more character interaction than we did. It was just like the main trio, the original trio, until Keto left, and pretty much that's it.
Just so you would have done the midfield trio as something to spice up the strategy theme behind the whole midfield.
Yeah, sort of give them a chance. Give some of the smaller characters who maybe didn't do a lot in the past, give them some chances to do things in the Orion.
Yeah. Maybe Ollie, can you link it to that, or do you have a very defined opinion on this as well?
I feel like one of Orion's biggest missed opportunities is obviously, as I've already noted, the cast is huge, especially the main cast, and they're all great characters. It's my favorite team of all time, I'm pretty sure. I love the Orion Inazuma Japan, and every single character except Sakanoe. Screw Sakanoe, he fucking sucks. And I feel like, yeah, I really dislike him, and I feel like we should have just had, if we had more episodes, they could have all been developed and would have been even better. So I feel like that was the biggest missed opportunity. Also, a lot of characters just not getting his sets of their own. Sakanoe, Mansaku, Saginuma, and even Mitsukamiya.
Spark Wind. Seen even
oh
in
boy,
Orion.
I sure do love Spark Wind.
That looks like a shot, defense, move, and dribble in one animation. Man, I sure love that character. He was quite the interesting hat animated character, I would have to say, if not sarcasm.
Real well developed.
Really well developed, yeah. We can probably.
It was actually sad because I'd say he was one of the better characters from Inokuni Raimon, and he was rather popular after Aris, at least from what I saw, for Inokuni Raimon standards. Yeah, like in the German community, I think the most popular Inokuni characters were like Norika, Gojin, Hira, and after that probably Mansaku, because Asto and Golem and Mishinari, well, I think they're really well developed characters, even in Aris. Well, not Asto, but the other two. They're just kind of unpopular. And obviously, Kusomaru in Aris was extremely unpopular.
Yeah. Well, he definitely got a makeover in the new season of Orion. We haven't actually talked about that. Lost, maybe you want to talk about Kusomaru, because I think you kind of had a double-sided opinion of him. If Lost is here.
I think Lost is dead.
We lost. Ironic. Anyway, then I'll just.
Oh no.
Then I'll just start talking myself. I think one of the biggest missed opportunities, and I'm gonna go on a rant here because I think this character should not have been in the show. In general, if this is how they're gonna treat him, Fudo. He was the blandest character.
Fudo. He was not necessary in Orion.
Yeah, he was there because everybody loves him.
And the thing is, now everybody hates him, including probably one of his biggest fanboys, which is me. Basically getting raised with the hospital scene from original series, and then seeing him evolve into a more, I wouldn't say friendly, but at least acceptable character. And then I had really high hopes when I saw Maximum Circus and his personality for the first time. And then he just kinda poofed out of existence and his personality left his soul.
I think in that scene when Hazuki and Kira were about to actually beat up Ichihashi outside of the field where he was chilling in a tree, he was generally enjoyable. He was a lot more chill in RS2. And I don't hate him, I'm mostly indifferent to him, but I agree that he shouldn't have been on the Orion team because he never did much, and Fudo was an old character not needing to return.
Yeah, Lost also probably agrees on that. We both complain a lot about Fudo. I think Lost is still gone.
Wait, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yep,
Perfectly
you're good.
fine.
Oh, thank
I
God.
hear you.
We lost Lost for a second, but he's back, guys.
I'm sorry, my mic just stopped working.
Anyway, we were on the topic of Fudo. I don't know if you followed. But
Yeah, I
how
followed,
he's
and-
a character that either should have been done well or should have just been left out. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I generally agreed. I loved Maximum Circus, but I really hoped more for him. Maybe even the aggressive side, because with the American match, he was like, "Oh, I won't lose to some cheaters" and all that. And in season 3, we got that clear explanation why he wants power and why he, in his mind, is really justice. Like, he stands for justice. But he just didn't. He just didn't
Yeah.
do anything. And
Yeah, I
it's a
feel like
shame.
that's a big problem because that backstory should have happened. Like, it was when he was a child, and it never seemed existing in this timeline.
No,
Yeah,
And that was
exactly.
it's almost
kinda
like
stupid.
he just didn't feel the need to anymore because he made it in the soccer world or something. Anyway, I think that's probably what I would have changed. And I skipped over a very important question actually, two actually. One which we're gonna kind of round up the show with is do we think there will be another season? Lost, maybe you want to start off on that.
Yeah, I want to start for sure because I had high hopes. Like, I love the Go trilogy, but with the last episode, when all the RS teams were standing next to each other, we did see Arakumo Garden and or whatever it's called, Gakuen, and with Tayo. And yeah, Tayo in this timeline with the same age as Endo and Gang, it just brought my hopes like really low because it just seems less possible, I guess.
I felt like that moment was mostly because of laziness, because we also saw, I only remember the dub name, Prodigy Grammar, like the first team they match and go with the nerds.
Mm-hmm.
And every character in that scene just had their default artwork. They didn't even move or have any new designs or arts. And I feel like that was just pure laziness. Oh, hey, look, we have some character artworks lying around. Let's just throw them in the background. No one will realize. And
Yeah, but it
we
seems
did
really
realize.
Yeah,
It seems really strange because we did see Tayo as a kid with Nosaka, and like 3 months later, he's suddenly like 10 years older, and
Puberty hit him hard.
I guess so.
yeah. To back that up, if we get a new season, which we don't know yet, nothing's been confirmed. The manga stopped, and that's one thing. We got a lot of great character art recently posted in the WhatsApp group, links in the Reddit description, where you saw all the characters' true potential. But what I really want to talk about is, do you think that seeing Tayo, that we will have a chance of meeting the Go characters in this universe at the same age of the actual characters?
I don't think it will happen in animated form, but I'm pretty sure they will be in the game as scout characters, because we even had like OG characters in Go 1 where it made no sense because there was no time travel yet. So like I feel like as nods to the to Go trilogy, we'll have them as scout characters because Tenma, Haku, and Tsurugi are also in the arcade game. So they have the models, they have new animations or like slightly new animations for Fire Tornado, Double Drive, what's it called? Mark Wind and White Hurricane. So I think they'll just put like the popular Go characters and the captains in.
Yeah, I think the same, although the game in its development hell, we'll see what's left of it when it comes out. In general. Yeah, does anyone have any final words on this, or shall we just wrap up the podcast and sent off the audience.
Before we finish, since we had Fudo as a negative example for the characters in Orion, I want to give a huge shout because he was amazingly done in Orion. He was, like, I think the first episode, everyone already liked him, especially in the first Russia episode.
Dude,
I'd say he's in the top 3 characters for Orion itself, and he felt so much better there as a character.
Dude did one of the biggest 180s to the fans.
Biggest 180s?
Yeah. Just went from like character who's like either people are neutral on or diss the more loved characters of Orion.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that one. Anyway, on that note, we're thinking of keeping this going with more subjects as we continue this show. So if you want to see us do more of these podcasts, please do tell us, probably on Reddit, WhatsApp, even Discord. We might link some things in the Reddit post which this podcast will be posted on first, or in the description of the YouTube video, of course. So if you want to hear more of these podcasts and have questions for us, we will be posting frequently for new topics and subjects. If you wish to add anything to that, we will be sure to leave a reply. Lost also had the idea, I believe, to add guests. Maybe you can explain that yourself a little bit better.
Well, we are a group of friends who came forth out of a WhatsApp group, and there are at this moment like 50 fans who just love the series, and I think some of them can really add something to the conversation. And yeah, I think it would be a great idea to just have them talk for a bit and bring something new to the table after a while.
Yeah, so there's that. I hope you guys enjoyed this first podcast, and maybe in the future you'll hear from us again. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.